California has a huge water problem, and you'll be shocked to know that climate change is now increasing the risk of a California megaflood. This extreme scenario could potentially produce runoffs 200 to 400% greater than the state has ever seen, and Sierra Nevada is in prime danger. These climate-related changes in weather can cause issues like abnormal rainfall, droughts, and even major earthquakes. But how exactly will all that happen due to climate change? And what is the secret tunnel that California is building that will ultimately get rid of all the issues? Join us on this journey as we uncover California's $20 billion water transfer project, its details, and what the exact issues are it will solve. And subscribe to Stellar Builds if you're looking for the latest mega projects news. Before we talk about California's new water transfer project, we need to understand the severity of the issue that the state of California is going through. California is massive, and we're not just talking about the land size. With nearly 39 million residents living in an area of 163,696 square miles, it is the most populous U.S. state, even though it is third largest in size. The volume of California is so big that sometimes people like to refer to it as a country due to so many cultures residing in it. That's because just the state of California has as many people as the whole of Canada, which is many times larger than the state. To make it interesting, just the state of California is enough to make it the fifth largest economy, beating countries like India, the United Kingdom, and France with its GDP of $3.9 trillion. This is because California is diverse from where it brings the revenue from. Whether we're talking trade, agriculture, technology, sports, or even entertainment, you will see the state's name everywhere. But when you look at all the wonders that this state brings, it's almost impossible to believe that it has seen so many advancements while running out of water at all times. The water issue has been in California since the start of the first settlers' arrival. To understand why this happens, we must understand California's geography a little bit. You see, most of the rainfall that occurs in the state is in the north, which also incorporates 75% of the entire state's water supply. While this doesn't seem like a big issue, we also have to understand that most of California's water demands are on the southern side of the state. And now you may ask, how did California even manage to sustain itself for so long when the state's water is so far away? The answer in theory is pretty simple. That's because a lot of water is simply transported from the northern area to the southern, making it possible for farmers to work and the agricultural industry to grow. However, this is easier said than done, especially when we talk about the mountainous terrain of the state. But a more complex question is how exactly the water is transported from the mountainous region to the southern side. Moreover, with various types of terrain, how exactly does everything even work? You might be surprised to know that throughout the entire 20th century, the state has been building a vast array of interconnected canals, whose sole purpose is to transport water from one side to the other, making the whole state thrive. From different dams, pipelines, and tunnels, their main goal is to transfer water from one place to another and redistribute water in a smart way. This is done by using many different state-owned infrastructure megaprojects that are huge and might require a whole different video to cover them. Amongst all of those canal projects, the biggest one is the Central Valley Project, or simply put, the CVP. It is a federally owned water management project that first made its mark in the world way back in 1933. The water project was made to provide both drinking and irrigation water to a vast area, starting from farms and taking it to all the other areas. Around 75% of water from the CVP is used for irrigation purposes, and the rest of the 25% is used for municipal use and services. In other words, the project helps over 22 million people per year, and the project contains more than 1,000 kilometers of canals, along with a total capacity of 2.2 gigawatts across many hydroelectric plants. Then we also have the State Water Project that primarily works to provide water to the citizens. Now, the main key player in this game would be River Delta, that sprawls across 3 different parts, including the coastal branch, the west branch, and the east branch. This river is one of the main proponents because it is providing the citizens with the majority of the water they have. So, one failure of this river would cause everyone to suffer, which is our main topic of concern today. Moreover, with the existing Central Valley Project and the State Water Project, another deadly reason why a new water project is needed is because the state is expecting a huge earthquake with a magnitude of 6 or even greater in the next 10 years. So this begs the question, if the earthquake comes, what would happen? In theory, it would make all the current infrastructures even more vulnerable to damage, potentially making water runoff, and worse, floods, droughts, and losses of many lives. With climate change, there are many unpredictable floods and chances of rainfall. So now, it's finally time to talk about the main mega project and highlight of today's video, the Delta Conveyance Project. To combat all of the previously mentioned problems, a much-needed project like the Delta Conveyance Project was needed. This project was initiated by the California Department of Water, who came up with a plan to upgrade the disaster and future-proof supply of water to the southern regions of the state without having to worry about the climate change risks. But how will this project work? Well, just like its name, the Delta Conveyance Project will redirect fresh water from the Sacramento River and carry it through the delta into a tunnel that would then lead all the fresh water into the existing reservoir called the Bethany Reservoir. The idea isn't new, but the idea about upgrading and modernizing a system like this is a new one. The new Delta project would be a significant move to make the existing water projects enhance their capabilities without having to risk anything. The climate change and flooding are expected to reduce the water delivery date to almost a quarter, which could ultimately harm the state in worse ways than we could possibly imagine. But the main question still remains: how exactly will the Delta Conveyance Project work? The current infrastructure works and is based on the runoff water that comes from the Sacramento River and the San Joaquin River to the southern side. But with climate change, these things could be halted. With climate change, we're seeing visibly stronger storms, floods, and till 2070, these things are only going to worsen. After these intense climate issues, we would see strong droughts, or in some cases, even stronger storms. So, with the addition of the Delta Conveyance Project, there will be 2 intake facilities at the main stem of the Sacramento River. In other words, now the river would not only be able to use the South Delta conditions, but also activate the intake to control and capture the flow of water. This project would then distribute the water in a much more streamlined way, making it the sole fix to California's water problem. The water will be put into storage for an extended period's use, and in many cases, they can easily control floods without ever running out of water completely. This reduces the chances of floods, solving California's biggest issue. Another huge benefit of the Delta Conveyance Project is that it would become a very reliable means for transporting water across the delta into the State Water Project, especially if there is some sort of natural disaster that's on the way. This would be done with an underground tunnel, and because of how deep the tunnel would be, floods and other issues would be avoided in the smartest possible way. But with all the sunshine and rainbows, many people are still against the project. Moreover, they are worried about the project's impact on real life and the area they live in. One of the biggest issues that people are raising is that with this project, the rate of freshwater is bound to decrease, and many people also argue that water could actually divert away from the Sacramento River. But we ask you the final question. Do you think the Delta Project is one of the only solutions to California's water crisis? Let us know in the comments down below. And please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for the latest mega projects news.